Masaba's in the middle. Wednesday here could seal it. Gassama finds Masaba.
Now Bannon with a great ball in. Here's an opportunity. Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Tie-Dye podcast. This is the debate show, the show where you get the chance to come up and have your say on Sheffield Wednesday. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently this evening. Could be the first actual debate on said debate show, with the topic being that of the protests at Sheffield 6 towards Dejphon Chansiri. For those that don't know, and if you are one of those, then I do question where you have been for the past year or so. But the 1867 group was set up by a group of like-minded fans in order to stage protests against Mr Dejphon Chansiri over the way that the club has been run and the general mismanagement over the last, now 10 years in his tenure. We're going to be joined shortly by Rob from the 1867 group to hear his thoughts on the whole situation after another protest was held at the weekend prior to kick-off against Luton Town. After that, I've lined up fans from both sides of the argument, some that have backed the protests and feel that it's a good idea, as well as those that are equally against the idea of the protests as well. Now, everyone knows mine and Matt's thoughts on the whole situation, the ownership of the football club and things. But yeah, it isn't for us to come up and share our views. This is for a chance for you, the fans, to come up and share yours. Not only that, I feel that with the angst and the divide that there seemingly is amongst the fan base at the moment, perhaps now's the time that we should be just listening to each other and just understanding, one another's viewpoints a little bit more than we already do. So, am I going to agree with every point that's made this evening? Probably not, but it's good to see it from a different angle and hear a different opinion as well. For those that I've lined up, if you want to hit that request to talk button on the bottom left, and I will we'll come to you in a bit. But I'm going to speak to Rob first if I can. Rob, how's it going, mate? All good?
I'm good, buddy. You?
Yes, mate. All good. Transfer windows are over now, so I said you could. I was going to say you could put your feet up and stuff, but we can't quite do that just yet. But yeah, Rob. Speaking purely from a protest point of view, obviously there was the planned protest at the weekend with the yellow flyers and stuff. I mean, how did it go from your perspective?
Well, obviously, I think you saw from the pictures on social media from the game at the weekend, it didn't go down as expected, but a conveniently timed transfer announcement might have sort of made it a damp squid. But in terms of before the game, it was all right. Obviously, you're going to get different opinions with stuff like this, but there were occasions where myself and members of the other sort of volunteers that did this were spat at, were confronted by a few fans. One of the lads was actually pushed up against the wall while him and his dad were handing out the flyers. So in terms of on the day, it was probably about 95% of people in support. And then obviously you had the odd sort of confrontation, odd disagreement, which is fine. But obviously it doesn't spitting and getting aggressive. It really isn't the whole point of debating whether you're Chansiri in or out.
Yeah, and obviously what's happened there is totally uncalled for. I don't know how just two fans with different opinions can't just you can just walk past, can't you? You don't have to do all that sort of stuff. Walk past, like I'm guessing 99% of the people did if they didn't want to take part. It's just it's a small minority that kind of ruin it for everyone, really. But I mean, Rob, what's obviously I think it's fair to say what your viewpoint is, but just kind of for context and stuff, what is it with the management of the football club that's kind of got you to this stage where you're deciding that you're going to front these protests?
I think it's just a yearly occurrence. There's either an unpaid tax bill or something happens at the club, whether it's, match day prices are 40, 50 quid. They keep going up every year. Season ticket prices, all right, yeah, they've frozen. But in the 50 phases that we've got, they've gone up year on year. The facilities are just not up to standard anymore. I mean, look at the pitch the other day. Like, we're basically playing on Blackpool Beach. We've got a training ground that's still stuck in the 90s. Players can't train on it, so they've got to use the pitch at Hillsborough because we've got a frozen training ground, which again isn't up to standard. It's just year on year. There seems to be an endless cycle of occurrences that lead ultimately back to the chairman, and it simply can't continue.
Yeah, like me and Matt have spoken, extensively on the matter, and yeah, I mean, January transfer window is probably another nail in the coffin for you then as well.
Well, 2 signings, well, 3 if you count the re-signing of Sir Charles, which in my eyes we needed to strengthen in other positions. But it seems that 2 signings make everything pretty rosy according to some of this fan base.
Yeah, Rob, quite a lot of people have been saying, and we might hear this later on, that the grass isn't always greener on the other side and stuff like that. What do you say to people that have kind of that viewpoint?
I think people are scared of change. They're scared of what's potentially could happen if we do get the club sold or taken over. The way it's going, he's not going to sell. He'd rather go down like the Titanic than sell the football club. I don't know why. I always get this. It's never the right time. Now, when is the right time? Is it a Monday afternoon on South Stand Bridge? Or is it, like many people say, in the summer when, let's be honest, nobody really cares about football in the summer unless there's a World Cup or Euros on? So I'd love to know when the right time is, for those that think it is the wrong time. You can't
just on that, Rob. There's a comment just now from Mark saying, "I'm obviously against Chancery and want new ownership, but I think we should leave it until we mathematically can't reach the playoffs. But I do back any protest after that. It's all about the timing."
I've literally just said it. Like, end of the day, you can't step back when there's constantly issues going on at the club. Like, look at what is racked up in losses. Is it 150 million now? But apparently we owe him 60 million pound. Like, there's no long-term strategy or vision for the football club anymore. In my eyes, when he took over, it was just a gamble to get us up and then sell us off. And now he's stuck with us. And now his mismanagement of his fortune or his spending has ultimately caught up with him.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, if Chancery was to change his ways, I mean, we're 10 years in now, and not a great deal has changed if you was to ask me. But if he was to change, if he was to back the managers, if he was to perhaps, I don't know, reduce ticket prices, bring them perhaps in line with other clubs, make improvements to some of the areas of the stadium, the training ground, academy, if it was to kind of do some of that, or certainly put plans in place, or say that he's going to do those things, would you be happy with that?
I think I'd wake up from a dream, to be honest with you. I can't honestly see anything changing. We thought that there was going to be, we thought he'd changed a couple of years ago where he stayed out of the limelight. Everything seemed to be going pretty rosy, and then we had more statements than points at one stage last season. He's been here 10 years and nothing's changed in them 10 years. So I can't see how anything's going to change his mindset when, in my eyes, he's just straight to the point, stubborn, and he will not accept any change unless it's him that's making them changes.
Yeah, because you as a group, as the 1867 group, you'd kind of kept quiet up until the fans forum, weren't it? Was that kind of the straw that broke the camel's back and kind of got you, thinking like this is kind of the time where we need to come back and do something about it?
Well, we've been in touch with the club in regards to a meeting anyway, which never materialised. So we thought, let's go to the forum now. I managed to get a couple of questions in. Jim, who was one of the other lads who was at the forum, had his hand up for 3-4 hours at the forum. Didn't get a chance to ask one question. So it was kind of like it were planned for us not to ask questions. But yeah, we saw that the game was going to be on ITV and Sky against Leeds. And obviously the forum, I think it was just a perfect mix for it all to come back. And then obviously it's sort of like fizzled out again now because, 2 signings and everything's okay, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, what's your message, Rob, kind of to the rest of the fan base and perhaps to some maybe the supporters groups? I've seen you've mentioned some of those in some of the tweets as well.
You can't let on-field issues distract what's going on off the field. We could be top of the table, second, third, or fourth, but if we're having financial losses year on year, we're having no improvement to facilities, we're having, as many people joke and laugh, we haven't got hot water on certain stands. Like you can't let off the field issues constantly distract you with what's going on in the field. They're completely 2 different entities. Now we could be, as we are at the minute, we've got a chance of the playoffs. However, we needed a centre half in January. We needed a striker in January. Now it's down to one man for him to make these decisions. There isn't any sort of footballing circle around him. It's one man and one man only. We all joke about the groundsman leaving every week. Now that could be another possibility. That could be another signing that we need to make. It should never have to be down to one man. It should be down to footballing people at this club. I don't think it is.
Yeah, great stuff, Rob. Do stick around because, as I say, we've got a few other people that have perhaps got differing views that want to say things. I was going to read this comment out from Jake as well. Protests aren't about what's going on the pitch. It gets away with it every time. When is enough enough? Kind of just echoing what you was saying there. On Twitter, we've got Izzy saying, "Not sure there ever will be a right time. I just don't see the other push factors at the moment that will make Chansiri cut his losses. The regulator coming in will hopefully change that." And James says, if he did leave, we'd be fucked as a club, as I hope he does sell. Is it going to be better or worse? Yeah, just on that from what is he saying, Rob, is that obviously this talk of this regulator coming in, is that something that you've spoke about as a group?
Yeah, we've spoken to other groups, and obviously the Wednesday Trust, who have been big supporters recently. They were talking this umbrella group with the regulator coming in, which Wednesday I seem to scupper up. But no, I can't wait for the regulator to come in. It's something that's been needed, and the quicker that it's through Parliament, then the better for me.
Well, the club have said that they're going to comply with everything that the regulator kind of throws at them. I'm guessing you disagree with that.
Oh yeah, completely. I asked Trevor the question at the forum, and his answer was, "Will comply." So I asked him to elaborate on that, and he just turned around and said, "Will comply." Now, if you're going to comply, surely you're going to give reasoning to why you're going to comply, what you're going to do, who you're going to bring in. And to me, it seems like they'll either bodge it or they'll just not comply at all. I can't see Chansiri giving any control up.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Rob, as I said, do stick around. I can see I've got loads of people that want to speak, and I've got Kyle and Simon who I know I've got differing viewpoints. I'll come to Simon first if I can. Simon, how's it going, mate? You all good?
Yeah, all good here. Thanks. Yep.
Yeah. Great stuff, Simon. Yeah. First of all, kind of before we kick things off, kind of where do you stand currently on the with the chairman, the protests, and things like that?
Well, I can see Rob's point of view for quite a few things. I think the big thing that stands out like a sore thumb with Chansiri is his money's run out. He's living or working with Sheffield Wednesday hand to fist. Now, when I say money's run out, he puts 10 million quid of his own money in every season. And he relies on the fans to fund the rest. Now, the ticket prices, I know it's contentious, but he's spot on, isn't he? He's got the prices absolutely right. If you dropped him to 20 quid, you'd still get 26,000. He makes them 40 quid, you still get 26, 27,000. He's a business. He's trying to get Wednesday promoted, and he's got that spot on. Whether you like it or not, he's got it spot on.
Do you think that's what he's trying to do? He's trying to get us promoted to the. I mean, do you think he's going about it the right way, Simon, as well?
I think he's run out of money. Whatever we can criticise him all we want, and we were all as giddy as kippers with Carlos. I know I was when in January when he signed Jordan Rhodes for 10 million. We'd got Forestieri, we'd got Abdi. I know that some of them were flops. Well, Jordan Rhodes a big flop, but at the time, I don't think I saw anybody on Twitter saying this is a bad thing. But he threw everything at it. We didn't do it. I think he's seen how much it costs now, and he made a lot of mistakes. But I do genuinely believe he's a fan. He wants to keep the club. I don't think he's any intention of selling it until he actually does go flat broke. And
is that not holding us back, though, Simon? The fact that he hasn't perhaps not got enough funds to really run the club?
Of course it is, yeah. But you're not going to get him out until he runs out. And I think his funding's probably the level of League One. I thought we were fine there, weren't we? We competed for wages. Although I do hear that we pay big wages Wednesday compared to a lot of other clubs in the division, but we don't sell players for various reasons. One of them being DC, but I do genuinely believe he loves the club. Well, why would you put so much money in? Because he ain't going to get it back. I think he knows that.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to the protest, Sam, are you kind of against the protest or just against the 1867 group?
No, everybody has a right to protest, and I do believe that they do it peacefully. I think it's appalling that people attack them. Although if you go on Twitter as a supporter of Chancery, you should read the comments you get. It's horrendous. And I'm sure some of them are on here, but
I mean, that's why I've kind of wanted to do this show, because I want to, if you listen to the podcast, you'll kind of know what my thoughts are, and I'm trying to keep it fairly neutral from my perspective, because I just want to hear what other people have to say, and I think we just need to understand a little bit more where people are coming from. Sometimes on Twitter and social media, you do just get polarizing opinions, don't you? Whereas here, there's a chance to actually articulate what your thoughts are.
Well, I've been watching Wednesday since 1970. And I love the Premier League years, obviously, but the last 10 years under Chancery, they've been bloody terrific at times. Some of the excitement, they may have been league below, but, the Wembley games, the Peterborough games, and this season under Roll. And let's not forget, he appointed Roll. And I know a lot said after they appointed Cisco, but Cisco, while he were a crap manager, bloody hell, some of the players he signed, absolutely fantastic. And they'll make Wednesday millions in years to come, hopefully, if we can tie them to contracts. But it's been exciting the last 10 years. They've been rubbish, I get that. But he went for it, he blew it. And much as I'd love somebody to come in with loads of money, and I'm sure there are out there, I don't see him selling until he really has gone bankrupt or got promotion. And I don't believe, and I know this is really controversial, I remember last season everybody moaning about January transfer window. Didn't we sign Beadle, Ugbo and Poveda? And they all, who were these? Last minute Poveda, or however you pronounce it.
Poveda, yeah.
Poveda, terrific. And this season, I wouldn't rule out us going up. Somebody said we need a striker. We've scored most goals since Christmas in that league. We need to tighten up defence, and a lot of that's down to Dishon Bernard's poor form of it last month. It's who knows what we're going to do, but we've got two exciting wingers. We've got, I believe, this left back signing any time from that Chancery is following him now, so I'm sure that'll be
imminently, yeah.
And I think we're a better side than Blackburn, West Brom, possibly Middlesbrough. I know they've signed lots of these players, but who knows how it's going to work out. Let's judge that in a month or so.
Simon, before we move on, because I've got Kyle that wants to speak as well. It's all right, Simon. I just want to ask, what stage does it need to get to for you to think that enough is enough? Obviously, it's not at the moment, but at what point do you need to kind of get to that?
Oh gosh, I suppose when we actually can't sign anybody, but the signings are still good in my eyes. We're not competing with the Premier League boys, but I'd like a big money man coming in. But it's hard to say, isn't it? But I think Roll will eventually go, and I think this is a smokescreen. The forum. I think Roll instigated all this because he won't let him go to Southampton. If you look at Roll's comments in January, where he asked the chairman, his question, he obviously fell out with him and wouldn't communicate. I don't know. I think he's an honourable man and he don't like being attacked. He thinks he deserves respect because he's put so much money in. But I also see he doesn't speak to fans properly. But I think he still needs a chance. But if we got dropped again or got near that, I think he'd probably realise he's not going to get him to promised land and he'd have to cut his losses. And I don't know.
Okay, great stuff, Simon. It's all right. Feel free to stick around if you want to, because I'm going to hear from Kyle, and then I'm going to get the point. I think I've got Stevie as well that wants to share his thoughts, and then we kind of have a bit of a people can put their hand up and you can backwards and forwards between yourself and have a good old fashioned debate. So let's come to Kyle next. Kyle, how's it going, mate? All good?
I'm all right, pal. Yeah, good, James. I'm probably a bit offensive, a bit like Simon was. I mean, I'm just trying to get a little bit of balance behind it, really.
Yeah.
I just think, like we mentioned, finances, like he's run out of money, which I'm not saying he's run out of money. I just think that you can't just keep paying money in, because we realised that, and we ended up with financial fair play problems. So we tried that. Obviously, the budget is probably low, but we got off League One budget. We probably had highest budget in League One at the time under Darren Moore. So he backed him in League One. I just think, like, just a little bit of balance, like the training ground. I don't think we own the training ground, do we? I think
no, we don't.
It's
no.
the council, isn't it? Well, if we don't own it, we can't really develop it to what we want to develop. It's not big enough to develop anyway. But then trying to find a place in Sheffield what caters for 6, 7, 8 pitchers, what we probably need, a big facility, is going to probably cost 20 million, which, unless you get to Premier League, are you really going to see that vision? Like, to back 20 million, chuck 20 million into it? That's what I just think I look at it, personally. And then, like, say, with signings, like everyone's having a go at him for signing just 2 signings. Who's to say that Roll he's got his list, he gave him his list. I'm not saying it might not have happened, but if he did, and then what he wanted might not have wanted to come. Clubs don't want to release. So it's not Chansiri's fault. I just think we can't jump on Chansiri's fault every time there's something bad or we don't sign a player. It's not necessarily down to him all the time.
Yeah, I get your point. That's fair to think that. I mean, when it comes to the protests, Kai, you said you kind of sat on the fence a little bit. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it because what's the reason for sitting on the fence?
I just thought if anyone, like we might to play, if anyone players who's really, he's got 2 clubs, he's sat there and he's thinking, I can go to Wednesday, I can go to Blackburn, or I could go to QPR, and then he's seen uprest with chairman. He's probably thinking, well, why would I commit 18 months, 2 years to this club when they want chairman out? They might get rid of manager. Manager's gone. I might be sat on bench. I might be finding a new club at end of season. I just think if it were me personally, I think I want to go to a club with a bit of harmony, not unrest. And I think at that timing, I'm not saying it made any difference, but just from my personal point of view, I thought any player who were 50-50 on whether to come to Wednesday or not, I'd think I'd probably rather go to, I'm not saying Blackburn with Venky's, but do you know what I mean? Just throwing me a bit more.
I mean, you could argue, Kyle, that the chairman did all that himself by organising this fans forum in the middle of the January transfer window as well.
And that's the problem. He just needs to keep his mouth shut. I think on the pitch, it's not miles away. I mean, he brought Danny Roll in. He backed him in summer. Danny Roll knew what he was signing up for. He knew that by signing 2.5 deal, whatever it is, that he knew what chairman's like. So he's not blind to the situation that what he's like. He's probably a bit of a dictator. And he probably had a chance. Well, so he says he's backed him on the pitch. It's just off the pitch. It's commercially, which he's got wrong. I mean, realistically, he's probably charging a tenner too much on shirts and kit, merchandise, and probably a tenner on tickets. But he's making, is it 35% profit? They said he made. So he's got to somehow find the funds from somewhere to keep it. He can't just keep going out. He have an extra 10 million. He can't keep giving the manager 10 million every year to spend because he's just going to go back under again.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the argument against that, Kyle, is obviously then that comes down to us as fans. That's kind of where he's seen the main income coming. You know, cash flow is obviously a problem. That's why the season tickets go on sale when they do, and for such a short space of time as well, to get you to, you know, he has a windfall of what, I don't know, 7-8 million or something what like that, you know, all in one go when we sign up for next season. But you know, you could argue that, I mean, commercially, I know, you know, you come on here and say we've sold all the boxes and they're worth more money than ever before or whatever. But you look at other stuff like, you know, other clubs sponsor stands. They have sponsors on absolutely everything, and we have.
Yeah, I think,
you know,
that's where he's gone. I just think what you can criticise him massively, you don't know his vision. We don't know his vision. Everyone says he wants to get to the Premier League, obviously, but there's no future. Like, you can't look at us now and think number one, we're going in the right direction. Even though the manager is, this is what my criticism towards it and the balance to try and give, is that we ain't got a plan. There's no, like, if you come at fans forum and says, made mistakes, which we've all said, but we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I've got plans for infrastructure. It's going to be better. We've got a budget, which he says he backs his manager. I don't dispute that he don't. It's just whether the players want to come or not. But it's just I think he might have just reached his ceiling, and it probably is time to leave and try and find a seller, because I don't think he can take us to the next level. That's fundamentally, I believe. But I just don't think you can criticise him for everything what personally fans think was wrong to do with club.
Kyle, would you say that you're scared of what he could do next? Is that why you don't want to kind of poke the bear, so to speak?
No, I don't. I know. I think it's a bit. What I do next? What do you mean,
like example? So obviously, if we protest and things could get a bit nasty, and he throws toys out at Pram,
I think
and
it's dummy out. If it's dummy out, I think he massively, probably it's a culture thing or whatever. He's probably been in business, been in home, and he might have 1,000 people underneath him, whatever, in business. And I think that if someone starts dictating to him, he probably shoots them down, and that's what he probably thinks to do with football club. But obviously, it's a completely different business. But he does spit his dummy, and that's what I thought with the transfers. If we start protesting, is he just going to go, right, shove it, you're not having it, you know what I mean, type of thing? So
yeah, I mean, what point does it have to get to, Kyle, before you're off the fence, and you're kind of in one camp or the other? I mean, so let's I don't know. What does he need to do for you to be fully supportive of him? Because obviously, as you mentioned, you're on the fence at the moment.
Yeah, if to completely go, I just think coming out with statements like you got to raise 2 million. That's just ludicrous, and you can't back stuff like that. That's just mental. Like, no one in Football League does that, unless you're like Bury or whatever, who's going under, Rochdale's and that, which is mad. But I don't know. I just think that is there this superior owner out there who's going to come in club? He's going to buy whatever he wants for it. If it can't be 2 million, 200 million, that's daft. But say someone come in for Biden, bought it 50 million, then they've literally got to spend 50 million to get it something like. If you want training ground decent, that's 20, 30 million. You've got obviously ground, which everyone's moaning about. That's gonna be 10 million. Then if you want 10 million on playing staff, that's 50 million, like 100 million for somebody. Are they just waiting there to go, here you are, Sheffield Wednesday, you can have it? That's my only thing. Are they really out there? That's what I think.
Great stuff, Kyle. Thanks for coming on, mate. Do really appreciate it. Good to hear, hear your comments. If people agree, disagree, do get them in the comments. You can comment on Twitter. You can comment on YouTube as well. I'll read some out. Yeah, Kyle. I think I've got Peter that wants to speak next as well. Then I'll come to Stevie as well. Kyle, as I said, thank you for all your comments. I'm going to read some of them out. I've got Jake that says no, I've read that one out. Apologies. Let's read the next one. Jack said the only way Chancery would listen to any protests if they were directed against the practices of the Thai union group. Alex has said surely Chancery wants the best for the football club in the long run. Just appoint a director of football, but he is too stubborn to do so. Jake has also said surely there's a moral element to ticket pricing. It's literally stopping people going. The guy speaking can obviously afford it. Many can't. And then we've got GU15 Owl. He says, let me read this one. He says, wow, so the answer is to just let him run out of money and run the club into the ground. The point is, if he had a plan, he wouldn't need to spend his own money. Invest in players, training pitches, facilities, etc., and the money will come in. Just look at the successful clubs and see what they do. Yeah, as I said, keep all your comments coming in. I will read them out as we go along. Peter, how's things? All good?
Yeah, good evening. All good, thank you.
Great stuff. Thanks for joining me. Obviously, you've heard what Rob had to say earlier on. Just for context and stuff, where do you sit in the whole protesting argument?
Well, I could be a bit biased with, luckily enough, I've got to spend a bit of time around Chancery because I currently run a recruitment business and I invested in a wealth management business, which has got me into a few directors' boxes with him. So a few years back, I'm going back when Darren Moore was the manager of West Brom, we actually got into the director's box there and we sat with Harvey Barnes, his dad, Peter Barnes, and next to us was Chancery and all his family. And I looked at him and I went, look at him, Dad. My dad's like 75-year-old. I said, look at him, he's kicking every ball. It's like what everybody says. He is a fan of the club. He loves the club. And I think some of what he started off with, he was like a spoilt child. He's come over from given a load of money by his family, and he's spent a lot of money. And like I said, was all happy with the Carlos era. Alman Abde. People were saying best player since John Barnes at Watford. We didn't get to see it, unfortunately. Not Chancery's fault. Then we go out and sign Jordan Rhodes, which at the time I think he's still got the record for most championship, outside top flight for most goals. How exciting! Absolute flop. All come at an expense. And what all that era did, it's put us back years and years, I think, where we didn't invest in the facilities. Middlewood Road is terrible to the point where I think Steven Gerrard, before we were looking at Isco, come up and basically laughed at it. And I think so did Smith as well. Just says, no, I can't work under these conditions. So it did at that era, at the time, he's come over and thought, I'm going to spend all this money, I'm going to get us promoted. And we missed out. And I think he run out of money. So that there where we could have been invested in the academy, what a lot of these teams do now. And I think he's trying to do that now by picking up Ibrahim Sissoko, looking at Jedi Gassama, Musaba, all younger players now that hopefully we can sell on. But it's 10 years a bit too late where, where the infrastructure is just not there.
Yeah, I agree on that one. It's a funny one in that regards because I've said this quite a few times. If had he have invested in the training ground and the academy and things like that, then now 10 years down the line or 7 or 6 or whenever he would have started it, now you'd be kind of bearing fruit from that, and we'd be seeing the sorts of things that like Millwall are doing and selling players on for 14, 15 million. The fact is that he's not done that, has he? And
No.
And yeah, he is starting to sign some younger players. But then you've got to kind of let them go as well, and you've got to do some player trading, which is not kind of happening at the moment. Which is,
exactly. And I think that's the problem with Chancery being a fan, because we all love Jedi Gassama now, and his son will be watching him, and he'll be watching him and thinking, "Do I really want to sell this guy? I want to keep him. My son grew up with Jordan Windass and Josh Windass all around that era there with like keeping Josh on, and we talked about League One there. our budget was massive in League One. You know, we kept Bannon, we kept Josh. They were on 200-300% more wages a week than most players in that division. So he's always sort of backed, probably through being a fan. And it's like he spent a lot of money a bit willy-nilly, a bit like he hasn't run it with a business head. And I've
Yeah.
sat in these boardrooms with directors' boxes, and he's surrounded himself with not good business people neither. And you're thinking, come on, Defon, you know, he hasn't got the right people round him to push the club forward. Because commercially, I've got to agree with Rob, we're an absolute nightmare. Like, I've got a few quid, and me and my dad go, we're season tickets, we are South Standers, so you could call us that upper classers, but that's going to be old man.
I'm not saying anything, Peter. I've said.
But we would go corporate, you know, we would go corporate. I would, you know, we haven't even got a proper car park. My dad's knees have gone, do you know what I mean? We lost his car park over the road, where luckily he's got his bus pass now, so he could come down on tram, but, you know, it's... And then we'd go for food, so I come from Leeds. Funny enough, I live next door, but one to Jack Hunt, so we come down from Leeds. I go to Pheasant at Outerbridge, and I'm spending 70, 80 quid every home game there. That could go to the club. But I don't know if you've been in any lounges lately, some of the food that they serve up, you know, I wouldn't even give it to my dog.
Yeah.
So he's missing out massive on commercial revenue from people that do have a few quid to go and enjoy a football. You know, I've been in box a couple of times at Hillsborough, and I think it's bad compared to other clubs. But it goes back to we haven't had the Premier League money like Sunderland, your Blackburns, you know, even Middlesbrough have seen a bit of glory for us. And then you've got obviously Leeds, etc., West Brom. You know, all these teams we're up against, they've had a lot of money coming from parachute payments. So there is that. But yeah, going back to be careful what you wish for, I'll tell you a story here. So with my investment, Paul, one of my mates rings me up and he goes, I've got tickets, I've got you in director's box, but we're going with Charlton. And it was a guy called Matt. Oh God, what was his name? Anyway, Matt, and he's the new CEO of Charlton. And got on his table, get talking to him, and they're asking me about some of our players, like, oh, what's Kieran Lee like? I think he'll come to the end of his contract, etc. Anyway, comes out, got out evening, Chancery's in there, and we leave there. And 2 weeks later, I don't know if you remember all over news that the Arab backer has accused him of siphoning off all his money to buy Range Rovers.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought, you know, this is the guy I've been sat with. And you just think, flip it, and he crashed the club within 4 weeks, and they were in litigation within 6 weeks. And imagine being a fan of that club. Then you're looking at now Man United. Look at the revenue they're getting it. How badly runs that club? So, and then I've seen Mike Ashley, the thing going around last night about that. Apparently, I think one at 1867. I don't think it was their group. I think it was that other one that says Mike Ashley or somebody else might be buying club. Would anybody really want Mike Ashley at Hillsborough? I don't know.
Yeah, it is a question. I think for me, like personally, it is a concern if the grass is greener. But then I just think we'd have to be seriously unlucky to find, in my opinion, to find someone, you know, as bad as what Chansiri's been and making the same sort of mistakes. I kind of get it, you know, initially, you know, when he comes in, it's his first football club that he's owned. But you know, we're 10 years in now, and you said there, like, not surrounding himself with the right people. I do kind of get that. If you don't know anything about it, you're relying on advice from everyone else. But like for me, it's the not bringing the football people in. No, not bringing a director of football, not bringing a CEO. He can live in Thailand as long as he wants. He mentioned that at the fans forum, and just let other people run the football club. When you look at other successful clubs, Ipswich is a prime example now. You know, obviously, I know they're getting hammered every week in the Premier League, but they're in the Premier League, and we're not.
Brentford being another, and Bournemouth being another. You know,
and they've got these business people in that have been there and done that, and they can run it for him. I mean, all he has to do is sign the checks. Do you think that Chansiri is perhaps? I know you mentioned he's kicking every ball. Do you think he's making too many decisions based on emotion rather than actual putting any thought into some of these things?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think he's definitely too much of a fan. Like you said, how many players have we sold? We keep every player. You know, I know I listen to your podcast quite often, and like putting Patterson in. Patterson should have left years ago. You know, he's been good in League One, and Palmer being another. We just don't move anybody on for any kind of money. It's just like keep, and we'll go out buy, and it's just not sustainable.
On those two, I've heard that the Chancery is big fans of those two, hence why they're still here.
Yeah.
I've also heard that Pato's on an eye-watering sum of money, which he's on more than most players, and he's played 200 minutes of football this season. So it's things like that frustrate me. How money's been kind of
thrown around,
spent in the wrong places. You know, I know Marvin Johnson's still here and he's done great. He did great at the back end of last season, but the start of last season under Xisco, he wasn't playing, and then he was kept out of the squad. And you're thinking, we're paying for someone here. Yeah, exactly. We're paying for someone here that's in Dubai, and then in the next breath, we need to pay for a tax bill. And you think, like, it's things like that frustrate me, Peter. Yeah. I mean, what would have to happen for you to kind of turn against him, really?
Let's be honest. The last 2 years, I know, like we said, let's go back to the last 2 years. He sort of kept his mouth shut. He has appointed some people, and let's be honest, there's not a Wednesday fan out there, I don't think, who knew who Danny Rohal was. So we've got to give him some credit. But what at the moment happens with our club, i.e. Rob being one of them, there's no credit for where credit's due. It's all negative, right? And I'm a business owner, so when he said that in there, I thought, flipping it, talk about red rags to a bull. Imagine what it's like for me on a Christmas do. 5 pints, administrators telling me how to run my business. So, and straight away I think, I'm going to stop going on these Christmas do's, because it just gives everybody a chance to have a pop at you as a business owner.
Yeah.
And it is tough at the top. It is tough, and it is easy to, say to people, oh, it's better this way, it's better that way. And when he said that, I could have cringed, and I thought, why are you doing what you're doing? Because it's just a reg rad of a bull. There's lads here who are arguing with their wives about doing, going away down to London, going QPR away. And she's like, flipping heck, we haven't been on holiday for 2 years. And these lads are so passionate about it. And we've got a great fan base, by the way. And he's saying stuff like that, and you just think, oh, why have you said that? Because is it a culture difference? Does he know that these lads breathe Sheffield Wednesday? It's I don't know. He just doesn't connect with the fan base. However, when you do get to spend a bit of time around him, he is a nice, genuine, warm-hearted fan of Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah. Do you think he's running out of money, Peter?
It's a tough one, because I ain't got the access to his personal bank account.
No, obviously, but from the decisions that have been made and from the things that you see, both facilities-wise, squad-wise, everything else, just your opinion, do you think he's starting to run out a bit of money?
I think he's thrown money at it, and he's being penalised for doing it by financial fair play. And for me, FFP only keeps the top teams going as they do. Look at Man City, they broke into it. How many charges have they got? But I think he only protects Liverpool, your Man United, etc., from any club coming through. So he's thrown a load of money at it. He's being punished for it. And we've got even fans now, oh, God, it's such a bad transfer window. We were linked with people like Emmanuel Dennis. He's going to be on 50 grand, and let's say we pay 75 grand of his wages.
Well, Armstrong might be on a fair whack as well, to be fair.
There you go. So how much? And then we're back in trouble again, and then it's like, oh, it's Chancery's fault. So I think we've got to, yes, we would have been linked with players. Would they come to Wednesday? These players, they have such a small window to make money. So they are very greedy, and they are spoiled brats. And it's a simple, he has got so many players there. I want. And when they're coming in, from Premier League money, then you've got Premier League clubs going, I want 80% of the salaries. And they're on 50, 60 grand. We want them. We want to get there, but we don't have parachute payments. So we've got to keep in with the FFP. So it's an hard question, but could he do ground up a bit? I think if you put money into your facilities, is this right? Doesn't it stay outside the FFP barrier if you invest in facilities?
That's right, yeah. Facilities, things like training ground, academies. There's certain things that don't actually that aren't included in the financial fair play. So yeah, stadium improvements is one of them. That's why, if you think about it, if you build a new stadium, you're not going to be able to build one for 39 million, are you? Do you know what I mean? No. So like Everton, for example, who built their brand new stadium. No, that doesn't go against any financial fair play penalties.
So on that note, then I think short cash, yeah, because to put, when you're getting managers coming in, when you're supposed to be interviewing managers, and before you got Isco or Danny Rowland, they're coming around and laughing at your facilities, then yeah, I'm guessing he is running low on money. It's easy to put 10 million. 10 million goes a long way up Middlewood Road, wouldn't it? I'd say.
You can at least paint that Presto sign on top of West Stand.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that. I don't know how much that'd cost. It must cost a fortune because we haven't done it for many years, have we?
No. And like I said, we're back at South Stand now. It's a joke, Me and my dad, he's got bad knees. We run down to get a pint, and the amount of time beer's off, or somebody said to me yesterday, don't you think this lager smells like a garden shed? And I just spat out my drink laughing. It must be that dirty back there. I don't know who's running it, but commercially throughout the business, it is bad. So I do understand what Rob's saying. I just wish you were a bit more positive. I know it's hard to be positive sometimes, but every 2 minutes on Twitter, even I get depressed with it. I think, Rob, is he been texting your bird?
Yeah, right. Peter, massive thanks for coming on and giving your opinion. Yeah, do stick around if you can. I said I'm going to come to. I'm just going to come back to Rob if I can in a second. See if Rob wants, because there's been a few people saying a few things. Rob, what do you want to have to say, mate?
I'm baffled. I really am baffled. We say, he puts his money in. 90 other chairmen, probably apart from Reading, put money in every year. The whole point of, I've lost interest at some points because I just thought, how can you not see?
I mean, there were a few things there. So it was saying that you can see that he's a passionate fan of the football club. As you mentioned there, he's putting money in. There was points saying that obviously we've had a poor January transfer window, but it's not all his fault. It could be the fact that players don't want to come, or they've just chosen to go elsewhere. There was points made that the protesting would perhaps deter players from coming to Sheffield Wednesday, and they'd choose another club because of that, because they're not sure kind of what the chairman's going to do, or what if the manager's even going to be here or not.
I mean, the whole effect, this whole mentality of it affects the players, blah blah blah. It's not true. Let's be fair. If you're going to be put off by a yellow leaflet getting shown in the air, then you shouldn't be a footballer, because you will get treated a lot worse than having a yellow flyer put up before a game. The January transfer window for me has been poor. Well, we saw it at the fans forum when he was asked if they spoke. They haven't spoken since December, allegedly. Now all of a sudden we've had a 1 week transfer window, in my opinion, where we've rushed about at the last minute to try and get players in. We've managed to get 2 players in, but again, not in the areas where we kind of need to strengthen. We're probably 1 injury away in defence from a real crisis. Now, I know there's rumours going around of a certain injury. So again, that could cost us in the long run. I just don't get why people can't see the real issues. Like, yeah, he puts his money in. So do the fans. At the end of the day, we spend our money. He's spending his money, but it just baffles me how people can't see where we're going as a football club. We don't even own his own stadium. Now, that should be a concern in itself.
Yeah.
A man who's taking loans out year on year on a stadium, which is just building debt upon debt upon debt.
Yeah, for me, like the point that Jake made earlier, saying, protests aren't about what is going on the pitch. It's the stuff that's going on off the pitch, and yeah, I think for me personally, quite a lot of things are, quite a lot of fans are being very short-sighted, and I know obviously we're in a great position at the moment, and yeah, we could get into the playoffs. Who knows what could happen? Yeah, we might end up being, in the Premier League next season. We're probably the closest we've been since 2017, 2018 that, to actually get in there, which, it's been quite some time since that happened. And I get all that. But I suppose, for me, it's, I suppose it's about the bigger picture in it sometimes, Rob.
Yeah, I don't know who mentioned it earlier about he agreed with the current pricing of
I think that was Simon that mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, that's just a bonkers comment. You see teams like West Brom who do it £25 across the stadium. Yeah, we have 9-10 phases for a game. So you're happy to pay £45 against Leeds and £40 against Luton. So at the end of the day, there shouldn't be 9 phases, 10 phases for a game, in my opinion. There should be one set price across the stadium. And he's even admitted in the fans forum, I don't know if it was noted, that early bird season tickets come out to help with cash flow. Now, that to me is a worrying sign. If you're having to rely on season ticket sales, what if the 90% of people allegedly didn't renew? Would we have to pay? Would the fans have to pay another tax bill? Would he have to come out and say, we need to do this, we need to do that?
Rotherham United have direct debit season tickets. I know that because I've got friends that are Rotherham United fans, unfortunately for them. They pay monthly for their season ticket, and they have done for a couple of years now. I've always said, and I know why we don't do it. It's precisely what you've just mentioned there, Rob, the cash flow. It's things like that would just help. Like for me, it would help fans being able to afford it. And I know you can get, some people would say, well, just save the money up and, when it's coming and have the money ready. But unfortunately, there's a lot of things that people should do, but they don't. Everything is now direct debit. You pay for your car for direct debit. You pay for your bill, your bills. Everything's direct debit nowadays. So why not your season ticket? For some people, like the season ticket purchase will probably be one of the biggest purchases that they make all year. And I just think that things like that, I think you'd even keep, more people would stay being season ticket holders. You won't have all this kind of like waiting for how much they're going to be. You'll just get an email saying, this is how much it's going to be a month. If you want to cancel, let us know. If not, it'll start from this day. It's like there's all stuff like that. I mean, we've done it to death, really, about how things can change and stuff. Rob, do stick around because I've got Stevie that wants to speak.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah, of course you can, mate, Rob.
That what you said about the direct debit, that would be a lifesaver to many fans. I know we do the V12 stuff, but that's adding more money on. If a club like Rotherham can do a direct debit scheme, why can't we? There's clearly got to be some sort of internal issues or something there that prolongs us from doing it. And then you mentioned about the emailing stuff. I think our marketing is absolutely disgusting. The only time we find out about stuff is on social media or the website. There's no sort of like email. Like you must have 25,000 season ticket holders there, and there's no way of the club contacting. Like Trevor's supposed to be head of communications, and there's no communication whatsoever. But going back to the direct debits, I know Liam Dooley was on about doing something similar, but again, there was no leeway in getting them done. So again, like we struggle on the finance aspect as well. Like V12 weren't available for 2 weeks, I believe, after the season tickets went on sale.
Well, we couldn't even pay on credit card either or debit card, could we? Well, I suppose we could if we'd have gone on PayPal online, which again was kind of some people didn't see that. But in the shop, physically in person, you couldn't pay on your card, could you?
Exactly. It's just constant on goals, and that's what brings the club down. Like if he had people there that ran the club for him while he was sat in Thailand, doing whatever he wants back home, and had the footballing people and the people around him, proper people around him, running the club, he won't get off as much stick as what he gets.
Yeah, Rob, that's do stick around as always. Again, if you agree, disagree with any points that are being made on tonight's show, do you can leave a comment or you can come up yourself. I know I've got lots of people that want to speak as well, but I've got Stevie's been waiting, and then I'll come to Chris as well, and I'll kind of then open it up to the floor. But I'm just going to read a few more comments because I've had loads and loads of comments. Do keep them coming in. Chef Cam on X has said he came in, rolled the dice, chucked two. Chuck to 2, losses on losses. He's having to shovel money in, but it's money lost by gambling instead of putting in footballing and business strategy from the off. James has said, I remember when he bought the club from Mandrich, I had a few Leicester fans saying to me, I hope he sold it to a good owner because he ruined our club. Maybe a talking point. Jake said, yeah, we don't do the direct debit because our season ticket sales are always used for immediate cash injections for the January window. He also says the comment, RE him kicking every ball. I sit in front of him. He's completely motionless during the whole match. If he's kicking every ball, it's a marble glued to his shoe. Harry says, people say about the right time. In my opinion, it's always been the right time. Some say, weren't you protesting before? But you have to acknowledge that many fans are fickle and frustratingly won't respond to it at certain times. Andy, I'll read one more. Andy said, why doesn't anyone ever compare us with other clubs? Look at Leeds, Brentford, Bournemouth, Leicester, Brighton. Look how they're run. Look how they've gone about their business since their respective takeovers. Look at our last 10 years. Why are we so happy to settle for so little? Let's come up to Stevie then. Stevie, how's things? All good?
Very good, thanks. Hope you're the same.
Yes, mate. Yeah, like I said, I've wanted to do this for quite some time. Just it's great hearing different viewpoints as well, and just hearing what other people have got to say. Where do you stand on all this, Stevie?
Well, I stand in Rob's camp very firmly. I think he's been with us for 10 years, our beloved chairman, and I think we've become desensitised to the appalling level of decision-making that's taken place at the club ever since he came in. There are just countless examples of illogical and stupid decisions being made, and I think one I've not really heard discussed very much, but I think is a prime example of the man's stupidity was the situation with the I think I sent you a post about this a few weeks ago surrounding our kit provider. So do you remember when we got to the playoff final, we were with Sondico, weren't we? And the Sondico deal was about to run out.
Yes. Yeah.
And Nike, this is a fact. It's not a rumor. This is a fact. Nike came to us when when it was time to put the bids in and made the biggest offer to any club outside the Premier League in history. Right?
Yeah.
What did our beloved chairman do? He decided that he'd make the shirts himself. Made the decision far too late, with the net result that the kits weren't available for purchase in the club shop until November.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a bit of a joke, wasn't it? Really, just baffling.
And just think, Nike. Just think, if we'd have had a Nike kit then, I'd have had the home shirt, the away shirt, I'd have had the training kit, I'd have had everything. Because brands count, don't they?
Well,
it's a bit better than Elevate.
Well, he said that he's listening because now we've got a Macron kit. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't think Macron's Nike, is it? I mean, funnily enough, I picked up a Rangers shirt for 10 quid off some website just to wear around the house. So obviously won't be seen out in it. But I thought, well, a Rangers shirt for 10 quid, you can't go wrong. So I ordered an extra large shirt and it came and it fitted me. What size shirt do I have to order from Macron? 3XL.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, Steve. I might have put a bit of timber on, but I'm certainly not a 3XL. Put it that way. It is baffling, isn't it? Really. I mean, what was the point, Steve, where you kind of thought enough is enough? Because obviously, clearly, you think that is now. But what point was the bit that kind of put you on that side of the fence, so to speak?
It's just sort of I don't know. I think it's just a cumulative thing over the years, particularly on the ticket prices, because we are disenfranchising so many, fans who just can't afford to go. The ridiculous tiered structure on the price, which I know has been mentioned already. the ridiculous situation where you're buying your season ticket for next year halfway through the season, and
not to mention the third kit for next year as well, by the way.
Oh, don't even go. Don't even take me there. But I mean, my opinion is that he has never for 1 minute run this football club like a professional sports team. He's run it like a second train set, and
Steve,
we're never going to get anywhere with him.
Steve, do you kind of sympathise with some of the people that are saying, like, look where we are in the league? Is we're doing a good job at the moment. If we poke the bear, he might throw the toys out of the pram, and we could be in a worse position. You need to just enjoy these times that are on the pitch. Do you sympathise with those people that are saying those things?
No, not at all. With the greatest of respect, I think they're talking utter nonsense. Any chairman worth his salt, despite whatever fallout he had with Danny Roll over the Southampton thing, would have been saying to Danny Roll before the transfer window started, now, we're close to the playoffs. What do you need to sustain a push into the playoffs? Let's put everything to one side. We've got a chance here. Come on. What do you need? But no, they don't talk to each other for how many weeks? And as the previous caller said, we had a transfer window of a week as a consequence.
Yeah, I do think that was ridiculous. I do think both parties were to blame. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Danny's not come out of it. Yeah, Danny's not come out of it in in glowing colours or anything like that. He's partly to blame as well, because again, someone needed just to talk, really, and neither was. It was like two kids at school that have had an argument, and neither are going to back down, really. But yeah, I do agree that when I went to the fans forum and he was saying that he needs to come to me, that's all wrong. Do you think culture has been a word that's been thrown around quite a lot? Do you think that is a problem, that his culture doesn't quite match what is perhaps needed to be a chairman of an English football club?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think in Thailand it's still a very hierarchical society, isn't it? It's probably like Great Britain used to be in the early 1900s, where there is a defined class system. And obviously in Thai terms, Mr. Chansiri is quite high up the food chain. And, they're very deferential to their elders and betters in Thailand, whereas I think certainly in Yorkshire, we're probably the most cynical people in the world and don't have any respect for hierarchical structures at all. But, if you're going to come and run a business in another country, you perhaps need to be a little bit cognizant of the fact that the attitude of the people might be different from what you're used to. And I don't think at any point has he ever changed anything on that. He still thinks he should be, treated like a god now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Steve, in regards to the protests, I see a lot of people saying these protests are going to do nothing. It doesn't want to sell. They're a waste of time, and it's just we're just got to stick with him, kind of thing. What do you say to all that? Do you believe the protests are a waste of time?
No, I don't. I think I think if we supported it and before every game, there was a virtual yellow wall of leaflets, it would. We're gonna have to do this over a sustained period of time. But I just think eventually the penny will drop, and we've got to keep doing it. If you listen to Simon Jordan talk on Talk Sport, he will say there are a lot of people out there at the moment who want to buy football clubs. If you're gonna get someone to buy a football club, now's the time, because the interest is high. And
Steve, if Chansiri comes out tomorrow and says Sheffield Wednesday Football Club is up for sale, I'm actively looking for a buyer, would you kind of stay quiet and think, well, that's what you wanted him to do? Would that appease you?
No, it would only appease me when the paper's signed and we've got a new owner. I mean, talk is cheap, isn't it? It's about action, and he won't even give. He's made noises to potential buyers in the past and refused to do non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that. No, we need to be on his case, and we need to get him out.
Great stuff,
as
Steve.
soon as possible.
Stevie, thanks for your comments, mate. Do appreciate it as always. Again, if you want to, if you agree, disagree with whatever Steve's been saying, get them in the comments. Chris, I'm going to come to you in just a second. I know you've been waiting for a hell of a long time. Yes, I will come to you very, very shortly. I'm just going to read some more comments out. James says, in my opinion, it's not a director of football needed by, it's an experienced football CEO. Fred has said merchandise is crazy price, but anything I actually want to buy is always out of stock or just available in 4XL. This happens too often, embarrassing, and what would be easy money for the club. Liz says, I'm not with Chansiri, but I'm against the protests. It doesn't work. Chris has said Baz injured apparently, could be 6 weeks. Yeah, I've seen things like that. But yeah, we're talking about the Chansiri things at the moment. Alex says I've missed lots of games due to the price. Matt says let's cut to the chase. We haven't been run well from the offset. Only one person can change that. As customers, we have the right to express our unhappiness with the customer service that we are receiving. Right, let's come to Chris then next. Chris, how's it going, mate? Are you still there? Do you want to unmute yourself? Chris, are you still there, pal?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Chris. How's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I thought it was the Rob Oldfield show, tell the truth, but never mind.
Well, Chris, we've given Peter a chance, we've given Simon a chance. Lots of people have come up and had their thoughts as well.
There's a bit of digging between me and him on Twitter, that's all. He's got his opinion. No, I can't see why people are panicking over the situation at the moment. I mean, last year, we're in League One. Crap down there. I've been watching when I was 65 here. Yo-yo club, up and down, so I'm used to it, right? So, end of last year, we just managed to scrape through by the skin of his teeth, the playoff against Barnsley. Anyway, we did it, and when we got up, people were saying, all we've got to do now is consolidate, stay in this division. At the moment, that's what we're doing. Yeah, we know with problems with Chansiri. I'm 50-50 on Chansiri. He's put a lot of money in this club, and he's also lost a lot of money, and he's done a lot of bad decisions. But I said, better the devil you know, because I don't know. I don't think he'd leave our club. But if somebody comes in and buys him, that's fair enough. If they don't, he's paying them wages. He's bringing these players in. The last window we had, he let Roll bring 11 players in. This window, I think he's brought 3 in. Obviously, we haven't got a striker with the centre half what we wanted, but God knows, we don't know the ins and outs why. So why are people panicking?
Chris, I've just been putting together a bit of a transfer roundup. I've been speaking to all the fans of all the other clubs. I was just listening to it earlier on. Millwall, 8 players in, 8 players out in this transfer window. Burnley have done something similar there. That's just two clubs. I know obviously Millwall sold Romain Esse for 14 million. That's obviously been able to bankroll this. The average age of the signings they've made, I think it's 21 years old. So that's Millwall. Millwall's a small club compared to us. When you look at what's happening at Sheffield Wednesday and when you look at what's happening at other clubs, do you not think, why aren't we doing something like that here at such a massive club as everyone says when they sign?
Yeah, because I think he's trying to do it all on his own. He's been advised. Well, he's not been advised properly at all, and he's trying to run the club. And I don't think he's that much into football itself. He's obviously a clever man. He's a multimillionaire. He's got his tune and whatever. But I don't think he understands the structure of football, and he's doing it his own way. And because he's a stubborn man, he's just carrying on doing it.
Are you, Chris? Are you against the protests, or are you just against the 1867 group? Because I think some people are kind of one or the other.
I know where you're coming from. If I can just explain to you, I'm against the protest. The reason being, and I don't want to bore you with this, but it's a fact.
No, I mean, look, this is what this is for, Chris. I want to understand what other people are saying, really.
I'm just changing the subject from football. I was a miner for 10 years. Sky Girl brought us out on strike, and I stayed out on strike for a year protesting, different pits and having a bit of trouble here and there. And after 6 months, I hardly any food coming on the table. It was only my family that helped me and my friends. Bills were coming in. I couldn't pay it, but I stuck by my principles of this protest. In the end, she took everything away. The pit closed. I lost my job. I lost my house, and a lovely detached house. This is all because of protesting, and it didn't work. And I vowed since that day I lost my house, I would never ever protest again.
Okay.
As far as Rob Oldfield's going, a protest with tennis balls and a walk through Hillsborough Park, and even last week on television, yeah, people saw it, but what's come of it? Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always. I think it's a long game, innit? We know, as you've mentioned, we know how stubborn the chairman is.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to listen. I sat at a round table with Chansiri. He invited me down. I accepted his offer. I went down and we were just talked to for, it was nearly as long as the fans forum that we were sat there. I think Harry, who was probably listening as well, he was down there as well, as were a few others. And we were just spoken to for time, for a long time. So we know that you don't want to listen. It's just difficult, innit? Because how else do people show the displeasure? Because I hear a lot of people, Chris, saying, just don't go. That's how it's going to hurt him. Hurt him in the pocket. A lot of people are season ticket holders. You've already paid the money. He's already got my money.
That's right.
He already got my money He's already got my money for next season because I've already bought my season ticket for next season as well.
Yeah.
And it's difficult as well because a lot of people, for some, football is the thing that they look forward to every single week. They go home and away. It's the way of life and things. So it's it's difficult, isn't it, Chris, to show your displeasure towards something that you love.
I mean, if we'll say average gate is 25,000, you say to everybody, and I know what you're saying about season tickets, do not go to the next match and nobody goes. In a way, that will hurt him because he needs that money coming in. But after them 25,000, 20,000 will still go. So that protest is gone. My other point is, it might sound silly, I don't want Wednesdays to go up. Consolidate, stop as they are, or end of the season, see what happens. Because if by chance we get in playoffs, which personally I don't think we're good enough, but if we do, and we have a magic day and we get promoted and we go into the big league, what happened last year to them at the other side of town? They went up, we number one in Sheffield. Every Saturday I went out, I was laughing my head off. Couldn't wait to bump into blades. 6-0,
but
7-0.
I agree, and I think
we will only get that if we go up, and I don't want that. I'd rather consolidate and build.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Chris. I mean, look, I think the journey is better than the destination, and I think Ipswich is showing exactly that as well this season. And the fact that everyone, what is it? It seems to yo-yo, don't they? I know Luton aren't doing very well, but Burnley and United came down. They look like they're going to go back up again. Certainly, one of them, and obviously Leeds. It's the only thing I would say to that. Yes, it is. It will be awful every single week. The first few games will be amazing, and travelling to Spurs, to Anfield, to Old Trafford.
Like I told you earlier, I've been to all these grounds. I know there's a lot of young Wednesday fans. I'd love to see Liverpool and Everton, all them at Hillsborough. Yeah, it is good. And the only good thing about it is if we go up, we'll come back down. There's no doubt, but we will have some parachute money.
That's what I was getting at as well. That's the only thing that, and now you look at Sheffield United, sold for 100 odd million. They've got the commercial aspect of it seems to be done. They've obviously got new owners now, and they're signing players for 10, 15 million £, and we're wondering whether we're spending £300,000 on arguably the best player that we've ever had at Hillsborough. So
I couldn't cope with that. If we go up, I don't think I go to matches because I just can't take any more of that rubber. I don't want them giving me 6 or 7 goals every Saturday, me going out because they look for me, you see, because I'm really bias. Just before I go, can I
Yes.
just say, on behalf of this lad from Sheffield, we know he's a blade. Football doesn't come into it. I'd like to say my condolences, and possibly on behalf of all Sheffield Wednesday fans. And if they do have a minute's silence or a clap at Hillsborough for him, everybody stand up and do it, please.
I second that, Chris. It's horrible.
It's terrible.
It's horrible what's
Terrible.
happened. It should never happen. And yeah, it's just obviously the thoughts go out to all his family and friends, and obviously anyone else that's been affected. So yeah, I think on 15 minutes at West Brom on Saturday, there is going to be an applause, and I don't know whether we're going to do anything the following week for the Coventry game ahead of
Possibly.
that, but maybe, but yeah, I do agree. Let's all.
I am very biased towards them, like a lot of Wednesday fans are, but I'm not that biased that I can't send my condolences to a young lad like that and his family.
Of course, yeah, and colours don't come into it, do they? When it's things like that. So, yeah, well said, Chris. Chris, thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate it as always. Great stuff. We've got more people that want to speak as well. Let's some of the regulars. Let's bring Ben up. Before I do, just read another comment out. We've got BD76. Rob sounds like a condescending man. What gives him the right to think he knows better than everyone else? We've also got Due 35 hour. A lot of people say protests don't work. If that's the case, what's the answer? How do we get him out without voicing our concerns? Also, the team's position in the league is in spite of DC, not because of him. Let's bring Ben up next. Ben, how's things? You all good?
Yeah, Sal, mate, you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. What do you want to say, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, touch upon, well, we'll come to chance here in a second. It is related, but transfer window. I mean, the one thing we need, and I'm just a stuck record, aren't I? Back in summer, defenders, good central defenders. We didn't get anybody. I don't count Bernard because he were here previous season.
Joe, I had a bit of a discussion with someone regarding that, and I weren't having it either. Like, I'm not being funny. Yeah. You can't let a contract lapse and then sign him and then say that you've signed a centre back. Don't work like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So whether or not Bernard was staying or not, we needed centre backs. We did absolutely nought to get any in. And look at this season, how it's gone. We are pushing top six. So one thing that has let us down, we cannot defend. Bernard's not been good enough. He can't do it on his Todd. Ehekwe, yeah, he were great last week at QPR, did well at weekend. He ain't the answer.
He's League One, isn't he? I agree. Yeah. He's been great the past two games. You could argue the goal against Bristol City. He's let his mind go a little bit. But I just think he's League One quality, but he's playing all right. He's doing a job and fitting in. Yeah. But look, long term, we need better.
Yeah. And it wasn't going to cost the earth. And somebody said to me, I know they haven't tried to sign some centre-backs. You're not telling me a club like us, with contacts Danny Rowe's going to have all around world, Chris Powell, he must have contacts. You're not telling me we couldn't get two centre-backs in this transfer window or in summer. Absolutely no chance. Somebody at that club in recruitment, I don't blame Danny, because there's no way this is on Danny. Somebody in that recruitment team have not done their job. They've signed a young winger who struggled for game time at bloody Plymouth, and apparently has been injured a lot. All right, maybe they've signed him to give Miss Cyber a kick up backside. Did we need him? I don't think we did. And, Armstrong's probably a good signing on paper, Ideally, I think he's probably coming to, give Baz a little bit of cover. But we needed defenders and a couple of centre-halves. I know, go on about it. It could have got us top six. There's absolutely no chance there because we can't defend. There's going to be games when we don't score 3 or 4 goals, we concede. And, yeah, it's just absolutely let us down. And that, it's on Chantilly, isn't it? Because Young's club, they should have been really on top of that, mate. They should have known in summer what we needed. And if we didn't get him in summer, there should have been weeks before this transfer window have gone, this is what we need. We're going to have to go out and get it because, end of the day, he could have got promoted, mate, got his money that he's wanting. And
I've seen people say, Ben, we've got Max Lowe that can slot in at centre back. We've got Valerie that's doing all right. We've got Otegbeyo. We've got Ehekwe. We've got Bernard. People saying, why do we need any more centre backs?
We've had them all season. They are not good enough. I'm sorry. Go back and watch all our goals we conceded. They're not good enough. Bernard's not good enough at the minute. to be a top six. And I know at the start of the season would have been happy with mid-table. The facts are we are pushing that top six. And whilst we've got Danny Röhl this season, I'll tell you now, he won't be here next season. That's a given. There's no way. I'll tell you now, if he is, fantastic. But he's not going to be here. He's going to be a goner in that summer. He'll be off to Southampton next season or wherever else, if anyone else wants him.
Yeah.
And we have to, we're back to scratch, aren't we? Who's going to be manager next season? This has been our chance now to go out there and try and seize top six. I'm not saying it were guaranteed, but it again is a bloody good chance. And club have just gone, well, you can have a young winger who struggled at Plymouth and a midfielder who was decent, but it's not what we needed. That ain't going to get us top six.
My worry...
Yeah, would have been happy.
Yeah, my worry, Ben, is I look at, Middlesbrough and West Brom and Blackburn. They're the three teams that are that we're chasing. Let's be right. Obviously Sunderland, Burnley, Leeds United. Nobody's catching them. There needs to be a real drop off for that to happen. But you look at those three clubs that I've just mentioned, and look at what they've done in the summer. I think. In this January transfer window, Blackburn have signed 6 players. One of them that we were linked with. I mean, we could have dodged a bullet with that Forest lad that we were looking at by all accounts. But who knows what's going to happen with that? I mean, look at Borough. Morgan Whittaker, £7 million they've apparently paid for to bring him in. Who else have they brought in?
We're not asking for that kind of window, mate.
They've got Iheanacho as well from Seville on loan. They're signing some great players. West Brom just brought in Armstrong from Southampton. They're trying to get into the Premier League. Where I mean, me and Matt were just saying this the other day. I think we've half-arsed it massively. If anything, and I think this was mentioned on Praise or Grumble on Monday night. If anything, actually, the situation that we're in at the moment, I'd rather not. I'd pay Shea Charles and Armstrong and this new lad, and just play the young kids and just say, right, we're not gonna go up, but we're gonna build for next season, and we might have a bit more money, because we've kind of just dangled a foot at it, and not really. Other teams have just. I mean, look. Yeah. Let's see what happens in 4, 5, 6 weeks or whatever. It could be a totally different story. But sat here now, I see 3 teams there that I've mentioned that are having a good go at it, and we're not even asked.
But I mean, I'm not even saying go out and have spend millions. It's like a couple of really good loan signings from Prem clubs. There must be defenders out there that can't get into their Prem teams that are really good enough at Championship to come in and strengthen his back line. That's all we're asking for. And instead, we've got a young winger. I said that Armstrong looks decent for midfield. I think that is a good addition, to be fair. But yeah, it's not good enough, mate. And we've known what we needed. And whoever's in that, whether it's Chansiri or whoever's in that, recruitment team, somebody has got to be sacked, mate, in that recruitment team, because their head's on that. And they've known what we needed, and they've done bugger all about it. And do you know what? If we don't go up, if we don't get top 6, it's on someone's head, mate. It's not Danny Röhl's, is it? Let's be right.
Great stuff.
So, yeah.
Ben, in the interest of time, I have to move on, because great points as
cheers,
always,
man.
mate. Do appreciate it. I'll read a few more comments out, and I'll come to Peter in a second. Let me see if I can find. I can see there's some more comments. Mike Taylor said 2016 playoff, 2017 playoff. They paid a fortune out on players' wages and put us into a transfer embargo. Sold the ground for 60 million to a company that doesn't exist. Financial problems cost us a 12-point deduction. The players haven't been paid on time. I mean, he goes into further more detail, listing literally everything that's happened. With Chansiri since he's been here for the past 10 years. Mud Random has said he spends money and cash flow problems are ridiculous arguments. He spends family money, not his own. He doesn't know how to make money. If he has cash flow problems, he needs to learn to stop doing business with people that can't pay the bills. That's what he's had to say. Let's come to Peter then next. Peter, how's it going, mate? You all right?
I'm all right, James. Are you? Well?
Yeah, yes, mate. It's been, like I say, it's been good to. Obviously, everyone knows what my viewpoint is on the chairman, but I thought this was a good opportunity to perhaps, hear from both sides of the campus, so to speak.
Yeah, it's very, as it always has been a Wednesday fan. It's extremely frustrating. I was going to come on and say that the only thing I'm grateful for is the money that's been put into the club, but then that'd be totally wrong because the money has been put into the club, but it's been so poorly managed, the money that is, and then got to be compounded with the decisions that mistake after mistake after mistake that's been made. And it's just it's just a mess, and it almost wants ripping up and completely starting again from scratch. And then we've all heard the rumours, or there's rumours coming out. I mean, look at the team sheet Saturday. That'll say it all.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see what Danny says. He's going to be questioned on it. He's going to be quizzed on what's happened. For those that are listening that have not heard the rumours, it's either Deshaun Bernard or Barry Bannon that's picked up an injury.
It's not the first one. I can guarantee you that.
Well, that's what the rumours are. So that it's one of those two that have picked up an injury. That we've heard.
Well, I was going to carry on to say with that in mind, it's a blessing that we have got Shea Charles back. But then I would counter that by arguing by saying Shea Charles is already he's only two bookings away from a 2-match suspension at present as we sit here tonight.
I mean, here's one for you then. Have we only signed Stuart Armstrong because he's Barry Bannon? I've heard
we have.
I've heard that he's been playing with injections and stuff, playing through an injury. So if that's the case, it's something they've known about for at least a couple of weeks. So in that case,
since QPR away.
Yeah. So going back to kind of what Ben was saying is, why have we signed these players? And I was questioning it. I'm not going to lie. Why are we signing a midfielder when we need a centre back? Maybe that's why. And maybe we have just blown his budget on having to sign someone because we've picked up an injury. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's always factors we never get to know the full truth. Never ever. And this is what the team sheet on Saturday will perhaps answer a lot of these questions. You've just said it about 5 minutes ago about the likes of Morgan Whittaker, Inacio who've gone to Middlesbrough. We just simply aren't in that sort of ball game. That sort of we're not in that. We're not shopping at those shops. We're at the corner shop. We're not even at Lidl. We're not even at Tesco.
We're at Farm Foods. I think.
Listen, we're a gazillion mile away from Waitrose and Sainsbury's. We're absolutely nowhere near.
We're nearly at Food Bank, Peter.
Well, we are. We're at, and I hate to say this, we're at the Premier stores. That's where we're at. We seriously. I heard a comment. I think it was Gaz who said it on Rob Staten's show, or somebody said it. It's no use having a BMW if you've got no food in the fridge, and that's the perfect analogy of what we are. We've got a great BMW in Shea Charles, but we've got no backup with it. And perhaps me and you between us have just answered the question ourselves. Obviously, people closer to the club know the situation and what the real situation is, injury wise, player wise. For me, they originally said he wasn't going to come back towards the end of the season, May, June. Maybe that's one of the reasons they're trying to get him back quick, rush him back. I don't know. It's all a mess. I was going to carry on to say, after I said about Shea Charles, 2 bookings away from suspension, we've got Bernard. Every time he gets a booking, the bench are looking to oik him off the pitch. Has he got temperament issues? I don't know because
he's had 3 red cards, hasn't he, so far? I mean, one was a straight red, and the other 2 have been 2 yellow cards.
So, yeah, I like I said, we never know the full story, what goes on behind in that dressing room. But the team sheet will tell us a lot on Saturday. I mean, the first priority is we get to 50 points. Let's just forget the playoffs for a minute. Because I honestly believe with this news tonight, it will do well to finish in the top half. We really will. So,
you mentioned Shea Charles and the 10 yellow card. I've just had a look now. 37 after game week 37, it resets. So
it's miles away, isn't it?
We've played 30 games, so we've got 7 games. He can't pick up another 2 bookings in
7 games
in the next 7 games, which he's, like I said, he's ages away. Considering he's picked up 8 already.
And then you look at the and what is game 8 in our game 38 is Sheffield United at home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it resets at that point, so
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I suppose he could pick up his 10th booking the week before, and he would then be suspended.
There are so many conundrums in all this. Then you can forget any conversations about that. Why I had somebody say yesterday, why did we go and sign Adam Armstrong for West Brom? And I thought, for God's sake, West Brom are paying 60 to 70% of his wage. Plus, Southampton have done the same to them as what they did to us. They've charged him a loan fee. You know, some of our fans, they just really need to get a grip in reality. And I agree with everything that Harry Pep said. I agree with everything that Rob said. It's a total and utter. It's an absolute, excuse my French, proper shit show down at Sheffield 6, and it's a total embarrassment to us all.
The thing is, though, Peter, you mentioned about the fans need to have a reality check. Not so long back, Deshwan Chansiri is saying that we're going for top 6, and that's his aim. I think I do agree. I think if it. We have the fans forum. We don't even know what his 5 or 10 year plan is. I don't even know if he's got one. If he has got one, he's not telling us, and he refuses to tell us. But do you know what? Do you know what I feel like at the moment? I feel like, I'll be perfectly honest, the protest wasn't very well backed on Saturday. There wasn't as many yellow leaflets as what I thought there was going to be, and there certainly weren't as many as what there was against. Was it Birmingham or whatever the game was last time that we did it? I feel like at the moment Chansiri's got a real opportunity. Someone needs to tell him that he's got an opportunity where he could actually win some fans over. There's going to be people that hate him and will continue to hate him no matter what he does. But there's an opportunity for him to make some. It doesn't have to be signed players. It could just be some communication things, or just put some plans in place to actually do something in the future. Come out with what your vision is. I mean, Bristol City have come out with a detailed explanation as to why they've not really signed anyone. I
thought that were absolute quality when I read that.
And he don't need to exactly do that, but there's some things that he could just do, not even cost him a lot of money, that would actually make people go from being on, like, as people have come on here and said earlier on, they're sat on the fence. They've listed loads of things that they've done wrong, but they've also sympathised. It could actually win some people over and actually have a.
James, how many times do we come on and talk about easy wins and discounts in the club shop, cheap tickets? You give the North Stand, South Stand a lick of paint. People notice these things. People will say, well, at least we're trying. I know that when I go and get into my seat next week, the same rubbish will be in the same place, because it never gets swept, it never gets cleaned. It's a disgrace of a place. It really is. But because we're loyal and because we're fans, we don't kick off about it. We don't moan.
But at the moment, it's too easy to find things that he's done wrong to actually hit him over the head with. And a lot of people said nobody gives him any credit. And I do agree that you could say that some things have been. He has made some good decisions, but there's 10 other poor decisions. And what he needs to start doing, as I've said, is just start making some good decisions. And he don't have to make that many. And it'll be harder for people to get that message across that he's the wrong man for the job. But at the moment, he's not doing that. And there's no sign of him doing that at all. Hence why we're in this situation.
He won't let go of the reins, will he, James? That's one of the things he won't do. He won't relinquish the control factor. He must have the control, and that's what's can be seen through every single decision the club makes. Yeah. And it's wrong. And we've just said there's so many easy wins, so many, and they just don't do them. And goodness knows why. I'm sat here and I'm looking at Newcastle beating Arsenal.
Yeah.
On the way to Wembley. It's not many years ago they were in the state we're in now, and they sat in the stadium tonight with 50,000 fans cheering them on to Wembley.
Former Owls scoring a goal as well earlier on. By the way,
we've got 2 years ago it was probably the greatest night of my life watching Wednesday come back from 4-0 down against Peterborough, and we're in a state now where. Me and you both don't know who's going to be chairman next year. Me and you both don't know where we're going to be playing football next year, because he said at the forum, if we ever get to the Premiership, he'd be looking at moving the club.
But you know what, Peter? If it come out tomorrow and said, or not tomorrow because transfer window's done, but maybe it is tomorrow. Maybe it comes out and just explains why we've done what we've done. And if you just come out and said, I've got no money and I need to sell some players and I need to do whatever, yeah, we'll probably all kick off and we'll all, say it's a disgrace and things.
Respect back straight away.
Pardon?
He'd get respect back.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like, we'll actually, we can't say that we don't know what, we weren't expecting it because he said that that's what's going to happen. All that happens is he says one thing, he does another, and then it ends up with all this speculation about what's been said, what's not been said, and and we just get into this old mess all of the time.
If I had invested 150 to 160 million pounds into a business, I wouldn't let my manager not speak to me for less than 2 days. I wouldn't. It's just absolutely ludicrous. So somewhere along the line, that's probably one of the biggest lies that's ever been told. And if it's not, then he's the worst businessman in history, because you don't invest 160 million pound into anything without, well, obviously wanted to know what's going on with the main man. The main man at Hillsborough is Danny Roll, because he controls everything that goes on in the pitch. Without success on the pitch or with any mistakes on the pitch, it all reflects badly. And it's
frustrating. That's the word, isn't it?
So frustrating. And you get little bits of news like you get tonight about a key player. And I honestly feel physically sick, James. I really do.
Well, Joe, what in a sadistic way? I know you said it is Barry Bannon, but I would have laughed my head off if it would have been Deshaun Bernard. I would have, because this is what everyone.
The irony of it all.
Yeah, just for the kind of what everyone's been saying, banging on about a centre back. Like I said, we hadn't signed one since the summer of last season under Cisco. We didn't sign one in this summer. We didn't sign one in last January either, and we haven't signed one now. And we needed one, like Ben was saying earlier. We needed one in the summer just gone, but we never. We actually let one go, didn't we? In Bambo. So yeah, I don't know. Again, very frustrating. I'm going to wrap things up here because I could. Apologies to the people that have requested to talk and I've not got to you. Do make sure you come on next week. It will be Thursday next week because we're playing on Wednesday, aren't we? Are you heading down to Swansea next week, Peter?
Yes, I will be there. Yes. After all I've just said, I'll be there, Mr. Chansiri.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's easy to say don't go, but it means a lot to so many people, doesn't it? Going there.
That's what they don't get. It's a major part of our life. It's our release at the weekend.
Well, you do with your lad, don't you, Peter? It's your chance to. I don't know what you do outside of football, but football is a chance for you to spend time with your lad.
Exactly.
And doing something that you both enjoy.
That's the thing that the people in football in charge, they don't really grasp that. And it's my release. It gets me like you just said. It gets me, 12, 15 hours in that car with my lad going to Swansea. When we get to Swansea, we'll be singing his heads off, and we'll be shouting at Shea Charles. We'll be shouting at James Beadle.
And calling them sheep shaggers and stuff like that. And,
whatever. You know what I mean? And the pies aren't bad at Swansea, actually. But it's a chuffing, it's a hell of a long way. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I'll be there. And it's those kind of nights that should make the club realise that, what we are as fans. It's not just me, there's 2,000 others as well, but that's what following your football team does for you, and they don't see it.
Yeah, definitely. Peter, thanks for your comments, mate. Do appreciate it. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's come on the show this evening. I hope everyone's appreciated it. Getting viewpoints from both sides of the fence. You see it on social media all the time. I just thought this would be a great opportunity for people to come and actually, listen and actually voice their opinions. The characters you get on Twitter perhaps sometimes isn't enough to get your point across, but yeah, it's been great to hear from everyone. Again, as I mentioned, everyone knows what my viewpoints are. Here we are. Chansiri is the chairman. How long for? Who knows? But yeah, if you've enjoyed listening to this show, then do check out Patreon, patreon.com/WTID pod. You can listen back to this one every single week. We have extra time after the main pod at the weekend. We also have a preview show, which, Matt's been speaking to a West Brom fan earlier on today, so you can listen to what he's had to say and what we're coming up against this weekend as well. So yeah, do check that out. Do sign up. There is a free trial as well, so no excuses. But yeah, thank you very much everyone for joining us this evening. It's been a pleasure talking to you all as always, and yeah, we'll see you all next time. Cheers.